Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to the Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Today, our guest is Aditi. Aditi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So,
Yeah,
Aditi, let
thanks
us
for having
know,
me.
let us know where you live and what you do.
Yeah, so my name's Aditi Bhandari. I'm the founder of Blur Marketing Group. We are a strategy consultancy for consumer brands. So when I say strategy, I mean anything from go-to-market strategy, brand positioning, consumer insights, and everything that we do. And the reason we focus so much on strategy is that we found a gap in the marketplace of marketing agencies and consultancies that actually tie everything back to business outcomes and revenue and sales. And so we use strategy to get you there, and we partner with other agencies who may do analytics and performance marketing, et cetera, to give you that full marketing strategy. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, we focus on consumer brands. So traditionally, our clients have been mostly food and beverage within the consumer packaged goods world, but any brand that is consumer facing is something that we're interested in.
Awesome. So, let us know, what was the biggest inspiration behind to start this business?
Yeah, the biggest inspiration, it's actually funny. My entire background is very corporate. So I worked for Target and then I worked for PepsiCo. So those were like my two big employers. But along the way, I did freelancing for some startups. I lived adjacent to Silicon Valley. And so that startup bug kind of bit me on the side. And I didn't really realize the itch until a year and a half ago. So what inspired me to start this was this passion for creating something net new, for solving things in a different way, and then also taking all this big corporate experience and making it digestible and accessible for more emerging brands.
All right, makes sense. So, what is the biggest differentiator? How do you differentiate your business from the others in the market?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one big differentiator is our focus tying back to revenue and tying back to business outcomes. So for a tactical example, let's say your brand's goal, let's say you're a little bit bigger brand and your goal is to increase penetration with Asian American households by 3 points in 2025. Now we can take that and use marketing strategy to actually help you achieve that goal. So that's something that's a differentiator.
Awesome. Well, I think this is a great differentiator for sure. So, who are the ideal clients for you? How do you segment your audience?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have three primary audiences. The first one is startups and emerging brands, as you can guess from, the what I said in the beginning. So that's
Mhm.
big audience. We tend to go for startups that are post revenue. So while we do help pre-seed startups or just launching startups with pitch decks and stuff like that, for most of our bread and butter is startups that are post revenue, usually like Series A, Series B, Series funding. Our second audience is brands that are bigger than that. So maybe more established, maybe they're backed by private equity, like they've kind of grown a little bit. And those brands we help at inflection points. So they're much beyond launch, but maybe they're at an inflection point where they're launching a new product, they're trying to target a new audience, they're trying to enter a new channel. So we usually come in from a strategy perspective there. And then the third audience is actually creative agencies. We found that there's fantastic creative agencies that are very good at amazing creative assets and creating all these, viral assets that go into the world and connect with consumers. But often when they're working with consumer brands, there may be a gap in strategy. So we come on as like a value add or plus up for strategy for creative agencies.
Okay, so for creative agencies, because I do have my own creative agency as well, so I'm interested in this area, like how
Yeah.
you are helping the creative agencies, like how you add your value addition. Let's say if there's an agency who is working on the branding side, right? So how you may have this creative agency.
Yeah, so I'll explain a little bit of the creative process of the creative agencies and kind of where we plug in there because it kind of helps if we map it out. So often creative agencies, when they're tasked with launching a new brand or doing a redesign of a brand, they look at the competitive set they look at the market, they look at the shelf, and they kind of look at everything from a branding POV. So where we come in is bringing in that business strategy acumen of, yes, this is a competitive set from a design perspective, but what are the business aspirations of the brand? Do we want to, what audiences are we targeting? What are the goals? Do we eventually want to be on e-commerce? Because packaging design for e-commerce is optimized in a different way than it is on shelf, or packaging design for a certain audience may be different. So I'm just kind of zoning in on packaging design as an example. So we come on from that strategy perspective to give a more holistic view to the brief for creatives. The other way that we come on is client support, like being a liaison between the client and the agency. So we generally tend to come on when the client is during the RFP process, when creative agencies are pitching Fortune 100 clients. So with my background being all Fortune 100, I can kind of bring that expertise of, hey, this is how you should structure your deck. These are the data points you should have in your pitch. These are the things that are actually going to matter to the decision maker at the end. So helping them win the pitch. And then once they've won that RFP, helping them continue to liaise and speak in that corporate language. So it's definitely a like strategy and then also like support for getting your big clients.
Makes sense. Completely makes sense. So do you help them to reach VCs as well, or you just help them in their pitch deck?
Yeah, definitely more preparation. So while we do have a good amount of VCs in like the network, thus far it's been more like pitch deck preparation and stuff like that. But we do have like people we're connected to that are that role of like VC relationship building, or I don't know what you would call that. So there's definitely people that we have in our network that can support with that, but like Blur kind of stops at the strategy bit or that bit, that part.
Awesome, awesome. That's it. That's it. So now, Aditi, let us know a little bit about the challenges, because I'm sure
Yeah.
you must have faced a lot of challenges throughout your
Yeah.
career, and these are, in fact, challenges are meant to be for the entrepreneurs. This is a secret
Yeah.
sauce. Wherever there are challenges, there are opportunities as well. So, can you share one biggest challenge that you were able to face and that you faced and you were able to cope up with it?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge, so there's definitely been multiple challenges. So that's why I'm like pausing, because I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, I have so many challenges to talk about. Which one should I talk about first? The first one was
Yeah.
product market fit. So actually, when I launched Blur, I thought that we would just do marketing for startups. So, and when I introduced myself at the beginning of this pod, I said we do strategy for consumer brands. And so I'll kind of walk through like that product market fit, how that was a challenge. So when I thought that, okay, we're going to do marketing for startups, I talked to a lot of startups and tried pitching my services, like just regularly, any startup. And I found that most of the marketing challenges that they were facing were much more tactical than what I was good at and what I could actually offer and excel at. For example, a lot of startups want to run performance marketing, paid meta ads, things that are conversion funnels and stuff like that. And while I can do that, there's so many other people out there that could do it better than me. And what I've found is that, hey, what I'm really finding passion in and what I'm doing better than other people is strategy. And from startups, I also face the funding challenge. So getting compensated by startups that are unfunded is very challenging. And while working with startups is very fun, and that remains a huge part of our client portfolio, we've balanced that out with focusing more on funded startups and more established brands and creative agencies as well. So you kind of see that shift from what we started doing and what we do now.
Makes sense. In this case, you have your own case study of getting the funding and becoming a stable company. So I think, yeah, this is one testimonial and case study for your own customers or the clients. All right. So in this phase, let's try to understand a little bit about how you acquire your customers. Like, what's the process of onboarding them? What are the
Yeah,
eligibility criterias and sort of everything, whatever are the requirements?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, starting from the very like beginning, like business development perspective, one challenge I've faced is actually cold outreach. I have not, or like Blur has not successfully captured a client, like a paying client from purely cold outreach. And we're finding that perhaps this is the whole industry. Like, I mean, like I mentioned, we're a year and a half in. It's very much referral based and warm connection based. And so in the beginning, we did burn a lot of time doing cold outreach, like money and time both. And now we're just finding, hey, let's not spend time on that. Let's focus on warm connections and developing networks and relationships. So I'm happy to dig more into that later. Our ideal client is a consumer brand, like in those three like funded startup, established brand, or creative agency. So those are kind of the three buckets that we have. Most of the projects every project we do is very custom to the need. So we don't have a set onboarding process where we have like a set something, because the services that we provide could range from just making a pitch deck to a new channel strategy for go-to-market. And so based on that, I would say that there's opportunity for more efficiencies as we are in business longer to make a more efficient onboarding process. But as of right now, it's still very custom and a little bit more time intensive in the upfront onboarding.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So I have seen like small to medium businesses or even startups as well. Like they are not able to define their short-term and long-term goals. There are a lot of challenges that they face during device these goals. So do you have them to prepare their goals as well or not?
Yeah, definitely. A little bit. Yeah. So especially for the smaller startups, we kind of act as strategic coaches as well. So to that point, one big philosophy that we have is doing audience-led strategy rather than product-led strategy. And so when we work with consumer brands, that's pretty inherent. Like often working with tech companies, it is more product-led. But with consumer brands, people will say, oh, I have this functional beverage. I'm making it in 3 flavors. It is low cal. It is this. I want to sell this product. And so we often shift being like, okay, you have this product, but let's learn what audience actually fits, because people come in with this set understanding of like, hey, my audience is going to be girls who do Pilates, who blah, 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 right? And so we often conduct a lot of research to understand where actually is the white space for you and what is the audience. And that way we can develop our goals and stuff based on opportunity rather than, hey, I have this product, I have to throw it against the wall to see who catches it, you know?
This makes sense. So again, one more question just to again more understand your client acquisition system. So what is your primary product market? Like, are you taking clients from all over the world or just from some specific areas?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely our focus is domestically within the US, and a lot of that is based on expertise here. And within that specifically, our expertise is in multicultural marketing and Gen Z. And so we're definitely focused on American multicultural audiences and American Gen Z audiences is kind of our strategic differentiator. So definitely US based. One type of client that we're actually interested in building more of is companies abroad that are looking to enter the US. So there's a couple of clients in the pipeline, so nothing signed yet, but hopefully at the time of publication would be signed, are companies that are quite big in their home country, and they're looking to come to the US to either target their diaspora or their population in the US, or bring their product to the American market just in general. So because of our expertise in the American market and the unique diversity here, the unique behaviors here, the unique media consumption in America, we're hoping to bring that to companies that are entering the US.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So, do you believe that you are in the market where market is already developed and you are just penetrating within the market, or you think you are also developing the market as well? Because I met few people who are helping startups in all these things, and still I met a lot of people. You can say a lot of my clients as well, who never consulted with anyone, even for the pitch deck, even for the idea of their product. Because I know when Dan started his very first product, not a product, you can say like this was again some services based platform, and when he had a consultancy with some company at that time, he realized, okay, we should not pursue this idea anymore because this will be a loss in future. So he just stopped it very early. So, but I know like there are still a lot of people who are coming to us for the development purpose. Okay, please develop this software, and we have this XYZ idea. They don't have any validation of their idea. They don't have any pitch deck to get the investment. Once they invest something in the technology and they shape something, then they start getting they go to the market and start looking for the investments for the VCs, sort of all these things. So I'm not sure if in this area education, or you can say the awareness is required or not. But like, what's your prospect on it?
Yeah, that's such a good point. So when you first asked the question, I was, going to say a different answer. And now I am saying like maybe a halfway. I generally prefer, or like it's for any business, right? It's easier to bring someone on who's already believes in that they need you. So from a pure business development perspective, it is easier. And I would say most 99% of our clients thus far have already believed that they needed help. That's why they sought us out. And that's why we started the conversation and brought them on. There still is a flavor of client education that needs to occur, and that does occur, right? So I think the hardest part that or uphill battle that we're facing is when we say marketing, people immediately say, oh yeah, like I need to run these ads or I need to whatever. And then we have to bring them back and say, great, but who is your ad targeted to? What type of audience is most profitable for you? What type of audience actually would be willing to pay this price for your product or service? And so we often have to, by asking these questions, kind of reel them into, wait, at first I need a strategy. Same with investment pitch decks, right? People are like, I have this fantastic idea. Investors would be excited. Okay, well, what's your monetization plan? What's your revenue strategy? Are you freemium? Are you this? Like, there's so many strategic questions that once you start asking them, it starts creating its own kind of, wait, maybe I do need to talk to somebody about this.
Makes sense. All right. So I think that's it from my side. So at the end, what would be your biggest piece of advice for our viewers? Our viewers are mostly entrepreneurs and mostly the ones who are planning to be their own boss.
Yeah, definitely. I would say confidence, especially for any woman entrepreneurs listening. I see this a lot with women that I coach and mentor, is they don't feel like they can make the ask. And one tactical example and advice I would give is if you're meeting with a prospect or an investor or something, I see a lot of women have the conversation and then say, okay, thank you for talking to me. Bye. No, you have to say, hey, I'm looking for investment. Would you be interested in investing in me? Or, hey, I would love to work with you. What would it take for you to work with me? Making the ask, I would say, is the number one advice I can give, especially directed towards women.
Makes sense. I think this is the most unique advice that you gave today in a podcast. Nobody ever gave this advice. Awesome. Well, Aditi, at the end, please let our viewers know if they want to reach you or how they can reach you. You can share website, social media handles, or whatever you want to read, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Please reach out to us, especially if you're an entrepreneur launching a consumer brand or you have a consumer brand. We would love to chat with you and even just be a thought partner. You can reach us on social at Blur MKTG, so BLUR MKTG, and our website is just the same, blurmktg.com.
Awesome, Aditi. Thanks for your time. Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed the conversation. And yes, I learned quite really good things. I believe our audience must have got some advantage. And well, thank you for joining us today. It was a lovely meeting today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Aditi. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye. You too.